Everybody, I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come into the conversation. It's going to take a second for you guys to come in, so I'm going to welcome you to drvoicetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. If you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to leave because this is not going to be a fun conversation for you. But if you want to be intelligent and you want to be Black, and you're not scared of being Black, and you love your people and love your community and want everybody to be better, then this is the place for you. So everybody, as you come in, just feel free to shout out your city. Let us know where you're from. Hey, what's going on, El Haj? How are you? You are first on Your Black World. So good to see you, El Haj. I'm waiting for some of you guys to come in on drvoicetv.com, our YouTube channel. And also, don't forget, if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can go to The Real Boyce Watkins. That's The Real Boyce Watkins. So today I have the pleasure of introducing a friend of mine, a respected colleague. She's a faculty member in the Black Business School, and also she is a practicing attorney, as well as a business startup specialist, Attorney Nichole Compton. How you doing today, Nichole?
I'm good. It's always a pleasure coming on and chit-chatting with you boys. I love your audiences.
Yeah. Well, these are some smart Black people, and a lot of folks that are in here might remember you from the All Black National Convention. Every year, you guys, Nichole does a great session on getting your business off the ground, and she is a warehouse of just Q&A, tons of information that can help you get going when it comes to business and finding multiple streams of income. And you guys know that that's really important for us as a community to be able to create our own opportunities. And that's what we train you to do in the Black Business School. Now, do me a favor, shout out your city, shout out the city that you're from. I see Orland, Florida, Lake Charles, Louisiana for Christopher. August that is out of Orland, Mista out of New Orleans, Loretta out of Lexington, Kentucky. Okay, that's where I went to school. Barrett. Yeah, I know Lexington, right? We're both from Kentucky. Very nice. Mark Johnson from Toronto, Ontario. Let's see here. Oh Majesty, Michigan Music Attorneys. Okay. Is that question mark? Let's see. Sarah from Nashville. Joy from let's see, in Dallas. Okay. All right. So let's get started here. All right. So here's what I was interested in, and I'm gonna ask Nichole about this. Now, Nichole is an expert on all areas related to a lot of legal areas, not just business startups, but also child support. You actually hosted a show about child support, right?
Yes, boys. In Kentucky, the show is on 7 days a week. It's called Deadbeat, Kentucky Child Support Court. It's actually the first, I know in Kentucky, but as far as we know, on air, the first child support reality show. And so most reality TV shows, they make up stuff. And my show, they actually go, the feedback. My show is actually taped in the courtroom. And so they go in and look at actual cases, and we talk about how to make sure you're not in that situation or what to do if you are.
Okay. And so as an expert on child support and how all this works, I want to tell you about something I just read in the media, and I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are on this. It turns out singer R. Kelly had his child support issues sort of take another step up, where basically they're now going to start repossessing his royalties. R. Kelly's having a lot of problems right now in terms of his issues with, with that whole little thing with little girls and all that. And he's actually in jail right now. And basically, according to some of the media reports that I'm reading, they're now going to actually start taking a big chunk of his music money. And that's really sad. It's not, and we're not here to.
Why is it sad?
Well, it's sad that it got to this point. It's not sad that they're taking his money. I mean, if he owes the money, then he owes the money, right? But it's sad that, it gets to this point where, you have these kids that you made with another person, and for whatever reason, the children aren't getting everything they're supposed to receive. So based on that, right, I think it's about $20,000 a month or something like that they're taking out to pay back child support. When you see situations like this, and it happens a lot, it's not just R. Kelly, it's a lot of people in that situation. What kind of goes through your mind when you kind of seen cases like that? Do you think that, why is it, first, based on your, why do so many cases get to that point in the first place?
There was a prosecutor in Kentucky that if you don't, child support is civil. So most times you don't go to jail for child support issues, or you don't go to criminal court to set up your child support. So it's a civil issue until you get so far behind that it becomes criminal. That's where like my show comes in. Once it gets to the criminal level, that means the amount that you owe according to the state is so egregious that now the only way we can get your attention is to put you behind bars or threaten to put you behind bars. And so in that instance, most people don't think about child support in those terms. They think, oh, it's just civil. If I put my head under, my head in the sand, child support will pass over. And so I remember the prosecutor said, yeah, well, you can put your head in the sand all you want, but child support will still bulldoze you over. You're still going to have to pay. And so you can act like it doesn't exist. And a lot of times people do. They, for whatever reason, they either, lose their job, break up with the other person, whatever. They get behind and then they look at it like, well, it's just child support. I'll catch up when I can. Problem is, that's not the case. The child support belongs to the kids. So when your kids don't have their child support, then they're not being supported. You're not doing your part.
Interesting. Okay, so everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Attorney Nichole Compton. She's one of our faculty members in the Black Business School, but she's also a brilliant lawyer who knows a lot of different things about a lot of different things. And if you just came in, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. We're on the channel that digs deep into issues, and we don't just talk about the surface issues. So if you are a person of substance and a person who likes to dig deep, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. So Nichole, I'm curious, with R. Kelly, what's fascinating is, and we're not just here to talk about him, it's really all about us, right?
Right.
Him is fascinating because, it's not like this man is a one-hit wonder kind of artist where they just came out 2 years ago. He's a guy that's been in the game for over 25 years. And he's been making babies for a long time. He sings a lot about, sex and everything else. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not judging that, but because I assume if you're singing about
sex sales,
right? Sex sells, and maybe that means you like it, and sex is something that people do, and it's fine. But it's far too often that you see you see these situations created where two people get together and make a baby, and then when the state gets involved, especially with the Black community, it seems like it always causes deeper problems. And I know a lot of people, mostly men, that are, that get so hamstrung on child support. Like, in fact, I think besides student loans, child support seems to be the number one factor for Black men when they have no ability to build wealth. But then on the flip side, the mothers are struggling too, because Black single mothers have the lowest net worth of any group of people in America. Like, the median net worth is lower for a single Black mother than anybody else. What do you think about this in terms of just sort of looking at this system and just seeing how, how this beautiful thing called making a baby can turn into just, such a shit show?
You gave me way too much, Boyce. My mind goes a mile a minute. I gotta try to tackle all of them. So the first thing is, I know that you were talking about R. Kelly has 20 years or whatever of royalties, and oh, that's sad. And I wanted to ask you what bothered you about that. That's just like when you go to work and you make your money, and and you make your money, then your money is used to pay your bills, right? It's used to take care of your kids, take care of your spouse, or whatever. So with him, his royalties aren't this, oh, poor thing, they're trying to take your money that you made from singing. No, that's his paycheck. That's his livelihood. So yes, it's an asset and it's owed to the kids. I need to say this at the beginning of us talking about child support, because most people don't look at it this way. But if you have a baby, it takes two, 50-50, right? The sperm and the egg will go back to biology. They both meet. 1 and 1 equals, come together and they make a baby. So, but R. Kelly said it, go half on a baby. You do half, I do half. We went half on it, right? So in the eyes of the law, the child support is not for the baby mama. And I will say this, I did father's rights for many, many, many years, and I was good at it. So it's not just deadbeat daddies. There are deadbeat mamas too. And the number is growing quickly. But so the child support is meant for the child. So if you make, we'll put it simple. Let's say you make $5 a week, and your ex makes $5 a week. But if you were in the same household, you would have a household that made $10 a week. That child should live like it was in a household that made $10 a week. Now, R. Kelly happens to be a superstar and has the ability to make a lot of money. So in his situation, he went half on a baby, but if she only made $1 and he made $10 a week, that child deserves to live in a household as if they were in a household of $11 a week. And I made it simple. We'll put some zeros on it, times it by whatever, but that's the thing. And so most people say, well, why is my child support way higher than my friend's child support? And you know how it is. We get to the barbershop and we get to the hair salon and nail salon, we get to talking, and somebody says, well, my lawyer or in court, it happened like this with me. It's not going to be, in no cases is going to be the same, because you're looking at what that household's factors would be. So do I feel sorry for R. Kelly? I'm sorry he's in jail, because I don't want to see any Black men in jail, period. But there are, just like I'm raising a Black male, and I've already raised another one, my son and my grandson. I tell them, there are consequences to whatever. You went half on this baby, the consequence is you're going to have to pay for the baby that you made. So I don't really feel bad like the system's railroading him in the child support. And that's totally different from the sex scandal stuff. That's just the child support. I will leave the sex scandal over here. And I don't think that the state has to get involved, but because we do have situations where parents don't take care of their children, then it's needed. And like I said, it could be on the civil level where we tell you what you should be paying to get that child into that household amount. And if it's so bad that you don't pay it, you haven't paid in a long time and you owe a lot, then it is criminal.
Okay, well, everybody, I'm talking to Attorney Nichole Compton. Her website is bizlawlife.com, bizlawlife.com, and she's a legal expert as well as a business startup specialist, among other things. And we're talking about child support. We're talking about, particularly R. Kelly's situation where his royalties are now being seized. And according to his lawyers, he doesn't have any idea what his financial situation is. He doesn't have access to his assets. The feds seized pretty much everything he had when they came and got him on these other charges involving the children and the dirty tapes and all that stuff. And actually, before we move on, if you guys could do me a favor real quick, let's do our Black Power exercise. Hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell, and then type Black Power in the chat, just so we know who we are, what we're doing. So on the count of three, I want you to hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell and type Black Power in the chat. 1, 2, 3. All right, Black Power, thumbs up, notification, Black Power. All right. So I see Steph Bell. Thank you, Steph. That lady's a fraud. She knows child support is a damn scam. Says Leonard. Okay. All right. So that's a good point.
Well, go ahead. No, read that comment. Go ahead.
Let's dig into that, because I also, Papa D, thank you for your donation, Papa D. He put his donation in the super chat. When you put something in the super chat, I will always read what you wrote. I will, if you mention your business, I'll mention your business, whatever it is. So Papa D says, why you have her on, she is pro child support. Now, I'm not even going to say a word about that, because I'm going to let you respond to that directly, because I don't know if he has all of his facts on this, but please feel free to express yourself.
So let me go back. So even though I am an attorney and I am on a TV show called Deadbeat, most people think that with me being, and I was a single mom, I was a teenage mother, and I raised my son. My son's father went to prison and I went to law school. But I always joked around and said I'm the traitor baby mama, because many of my clients were men or wives or girlfriends of men that had kids. I've gotten plenty of fathers, not just partial custody, not just more than every other weekend, but like sole custody, full custody, residential custody of their kids. I didn't create the child support system, and nor did you hear me say that I was for the child support system. I did not get child support. I got maybe 3 payments. The last payment was $8.08. And I was like, you know what, buddy? I'm not even going to argue. I didn't go back to court. I wasn't going to take him to court. What I did ask him to do when he got out of jail was form a relationship with my son, because I think that's more important. But my views are not that child support is the way to go or the end all be all. And my personal life, as well as how I teach, I think reflects that. Now, what I was trying to explain is when people, how they come up with the numbers for child support and kind of the mentality behind government, the government and how they enforce child support and why. Now, I don't know about you all. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. When I go to court, it's actually pretty sad because I see a lot of people that have a lot of melanin in their skin standing in the hallways when it comes to the child support docket. Not excited about it. I believe that if you go half on a baby, if we can be that intimate that we made one, we should be adults and take care of them. So no, sorry, not a fraud. Anybody who knows me would know. And I work darn hard for my clients, especially my fathers who are like, all I want is my shorty. The guys who get the custody of their kids and they don't treat the baby mamas or the mothers of the kids like they were treated. And they're just like, I just want to be in my child's life. I want to be there. So I've represented fathers and mothers, but probably more fathers than mothers, in child abuse cases, child support cases, and custody cases.
All right. Well, you know what? And let me just say this too. I'm gonna throw in, I'm gonna throw in a little Dr. Boyce on this in terms of what you said, because I'm not just gonna second what you just said. I'm gonna actually throw out a perspective that is very uncommon in our community right now. It's not very common. How about we learn how to have some responsibility for our motherfucking life? I didn't mean to cuss. You a lady. I try to cuss in front of a lady. But for real, how about we hit the brakes real quick? I'm not trying to say R. Kelly is not being, that there are nuances here. You guys have heard me talk about Oprah and Gayle and how they tend to pick out the black males as the face of predatory behavior and they ignore the Harvey Weinsteins, right? We've discussed that, and that's fine. You can discuss it. But let's just really stop for a minute. Sometimes, if you've been badly educated all the way up through high school and college and graduate school, sometimes your ass need to go back to the first grade to learn the basics on the shit that you've been messing up for the last 20-something years.
My friends would say you can be educatedly stupid.
Right.
Educated but dumb as a box of rocks.
Right. You've gone 1,000 miles in the wrong direction. Look, here's what you're looking at with an R. Kelly. And this is not just R. Kelly. You got a whole lot of, some of y'all got an R. Kelly in your family. Some of y'all got guys in your family, got babies all over the place, and y'all ain't said nothing to them. Y'all just sit there and watch these damn kids get abandoned, can't hardly eat, whatever. And then that same person, you will see him spending all kinds of money so he can get some more ass, so he can get somebody else pregnant. So you spend a whole lot of money on new ass, but you ain't maintaining your old responsibilities. That's what it is. It is what you call pleasure-seeking behavior that is built on instant gratification. And that is not, I'm sorry, black people, but that is not manhood. When you go back and you look at an R. Kelly, and there's a lot of R. Kellys out here. Sure, you could talk about the trauma he went through. You could talk about the struggles as a child. You could talk about all these things, but there are plenty of people who have gone through difficult situations who still take care of their own damn kids. Stop letting somebody's past be an excuse for them to ignore their children. That ain't cool. This man, I've sat here and watched R. Kelly from a distance. I never bought an album from R. Kelly, but I knew who he was because he was R. Kelly. Everybody knew who he was. I watched him make millions of dollars. I watched him put out 1,000 albums. I watched him tour the world. I watched him make album after album bragging about how many women he's got and how he's the man and how he's got this and got that. And he can make it rain. He can spend money, buy champagne, put the girls in the trunk out for the after party and go have sex with them all. I've seen all of that. So you telling me that because he's traumatized, that he can still go out and do all these amazing things as an artist and have sex with all these women. You got to have Viagra for all the sex he must have been having and be all around the world doing all these things. He's functional enough to do all of that to maintain this global career. But somehow when it comes time for him to write one damn little tiny check, which probably costs 1/10 of all them cars that he bought all through the years to
he
write.
don't even gotta write it. He got other people that can write it.
Right, exactly. Write one little monthly check to take care of his own seed. He can't do that. I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not trying to just sound self-righteous here, right? But I'm saying sometimes as Black people, we got to stop it. We got to stop with the excuses. Seriously, like, I understand, and I'm talking to my brothers too. Like, you got brothers that are like, oh, Doug, why are you beating up on R. Kelly? I'm not beating up on him. I defended his right to fairness, but I'm not going to defend his right to stupidity. I can't do that. Go ahead.
I'm not going to defend his right to be a deadbeat if that's what he's being. Because the fact of the matter is, R. Kelly publicly goes out and has a great time. You see him partying. He's at this award. He's at that award. He's showing up. He's still trying to be the man. I flip it and say this, Boyce. How is it, or how would you feel if, and this is not to you, this is to the audience, how would you feel if those who want to take up for R. Kelly, not paying his child support, they're sad he's in jail, how would you feel if R. Kelly was your daddy? You watched your daddy ball out, you watched your daddy go on trips, do whatever, and when it came time for you to need clothes for school, for you to go on a trip that you might have wanted to go on, for you to get the things that you wanted, and it wasn't there. One step further, what happens, what happens when, as a kid, you're watching your parents do all of that and you're left with nothing, and you're left with the mother who's trying to struggle, or the other parent? I will say the other parent, because I know we're talking about men, but I always say women are deadbeats too. And even women who are raising the kids can be deadbeats. And I know some mamas are going to be upset, like, what? How am I going to be a deadbeat? I've seen women who get the money, who have the guy who he might say, I don't have $1 million. I'm not R. Kelly. I do have some money. I'll give you what I have. I'll pay it above and beyond, or I'll pay my weekly payments. I just want to be a part of my kids' lives. And I watched the mothers who dangled their kids as if that having that kid, or the fact that they're taking care of that kid, entitles them to be able to use the money how they want. Their hair is done, their nails done, and the kids walking around in beat up kicks. That is, for me, that's the deadbeat side of it too. But I think people change their tunes when you bring it and you can point it back at them. So for the fellas who are upset, or even the women who support R. Kelly and they're upset that he's in jail, and why now? It may have came out or may have gotten pushed because of the sex scandal, but at this point, him not paying his child support, for me, is set aside from that. You paid the babies, you take care of the babies.
Right. I mean, I think that it's kind of one of these things where I think that, I'm gonna tell you what, I have so much honor and respect for Black women. I really do, especially the ones that really hold it down for Black men. Some Black women are trifling. We know this, right? We know some Black men are trifling.
Bad in every group.
I have a lot of respect for the Black women that really stand up and defend us. But sometimes their support for the Black man can go too far. I think that some sort of accountability is called for. I think that if you have that guy in your family who's always balling out, always has money in his pocket, always got a girl on his hip, always trying to look rich, and he ain't handling his basic responsibilities, that's a problem. That's a problem. You and I both, Nichole, have had experience with the child support system. I had a child when I was 18, and I hated writing that check every month. It was terrible, especially when I started making more money.
But you did it.
Yeah. You were actually, I keep forgetting that you actually.
I couldn't be like, well, my own client, but no, you did it.
Yeah, my lad. I remember you sent me that email that said, okay, the child support's done. You don't have to make any more payments. And that was one of the happiest days of my life, because I was like, "Ooh, I am not making that mistake again. If I have more kids, I'm gonna make sure the conditions are different so that I can have, an understanding of like where my money's going, what it's being used for." It was terrible. It was terrible. But I just think that overall, I think that we have to redefine manhood, and really just, I think, start with a basic idea And I hope you give me a yes or no if you all can agree on this. I don't want to sound like I'm being too hard on anybody because I'm not trying to be judgmental. Give me a yes or no if we can agree on one basic idea that a real man takes care of his kids. Can we at least agree on that basic idea that a real man makes sure that his kids are provided for, at least financially and hopefully emotionally also? That a real man.
No, and I think you're going. I would argue. I would just leave it. It takes care of their kids because here's the thing. I make right now. I'm raising my grandson. He got taken away from my son and his baby mama. I refuse to put a black man in the system. I'm like, you better take care of your kid, and that's it. But take care for someone. I make way more money, or have the opportunities to make way more money than my son does at his age of 24. What I'm more concerned about is, can you spend time with this kid? Can I get a break on the weekends? Did you call him on his birthday? Are you planning his birthday party or planning to come and let him know that you're still daddy and that you love him? So in the way, I'm baby mama in that role, because the mom is now deceased. But I'm playing baby mama. For me, I don't even want your child support. I'm not putting you on child support. I'm not gonna garnish your checks, mess up your credit, get you in jail, and then say, okay, now try to support the kid. We're not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna let the system say how you should raise your kid. Kids want both parents, and they deserve to have both parents unless one parent is unhealthy for them, or both. In my grandson's situation at that time, unless both are unhealthy, they deserve to know who their parents are and have a relationship. So your little $20 a week, $30 a week, $40 a week may not even be important. I'll cover that. I will say this: mamas cannot say I don't want child support, or the custodial parent cannot say I don't want child support, because it's not even theirs. It's entitled to the kid. The kid gets that money, or is supposed to.
Well, let me jump in and say this. Okay, Papa D, I see you. I just saw your other comment. Thank you for your donation. He says, why speak about R. Kelly? He can afford the support. What about us men that are good fathers, have 50-50, but the system still puts men on child support? How do you respond to that, Nichole?
So this is my disclaimer. Y'all know how attorneys do. We have to disclaim everything. There's a disclaimer for everything. I was telling somebody the other day, my grandson said for his birthday, he wanted this toy. And at the end of it, he said, batteries not included. So, there's a disclaimer for everything. So here's my disclaimer. I'm licensed in Kentucky. I'm licensed federally. So in Kentucky is what I will speak on. If you have somebody who has a child, and let's say R. Kelly and his baby mama are his ex-wife. So he's a billionaire and she's making maybe minimum wage. I'm just guessing. Let's say she's making minimum wage and he's a millionaire. If he has the kids 50-50 and she has a 50-50, remember I said the system wants the kids to live in a household as if the income of both parents were in the household. So they tell him he has to pay $20,000 a month. Let's say he has to pay his portion. She has to pay her portion. What she's putting in on her 50% week may not be enough to get that child to a household where it would be comparable to both parents being there, but his is more likely to be. So if you're making 10 times what the other person is making, even though you have the kids 50-50, you can't be like, they're going to live in a penthouse, in New York City on this week. And then when they go back to you, then they're going to live on the streets or in your car. That's unbalanced. That's not okay for the kids. So that's one of the reasons the courts try to do that. It's not like that everywhere, and it hasn't always been like that. And so I do have a lot of people who come to me and they say, well, if I give my kid 50-50, does that mean I don't have to pay anything anymore? Or there's mothers who say, or the custodial parent says, I don't want to give up custody. I don't want the kid to not live with me because I want that, I want the child support. I don't want it to decrease. Not always the case.
Okay, so everybody, I want you to know, if you just came in, I'm speaking with Attorney Nichole Compton. we're talking about child support. The particular case we were talking about is R. Kelly and the fact that his royalties have been repossessed to pay some back child support. And the sugar and spice topics makes a good point. Thank you for your donation, sister. I appreciate that. She says he was 8 months behind though, which is an interesting topic. And actually, before we move on to that though, if you guys could take 1 second right now, hit the thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to follow up with Attorney Compton and talk to her on any level, her email or her website is bizlawlife.com, bizlawlife.com. So go check out bizlawlife.com.
You can also get me at NicholeCompton.com.
Okay. Or
it's in the process of being revamped. That there's contact page and all of that.
Okay, Nichole Compton, and Nichole is spelled with CH, Nichole. So Nichole, here's one thing I was thinking about too, is, I think I understand, where the money isn't as important as the emotional connection. I understand mothers and women that want to cover for the men and, help them out financially if they make more money. And that's fine. If you are the parent that makes more money, the rule says that you should do more, right? Which is fine. Or at least that's the way it's supposed to be in an egalitarian society. But I'm just tell you like this. I would be, as a man, I would be very much ashamed if my children were being provided for financially more by somebody else than by me. Now, it does not mean that I couldn't be on hard times. If I was on hard times and I was really, like, let's say that the best I could do was welfare, I'm pulling in, $300 a week or whatever it is, and I can't.
Well, don't forget, guys don't get welfare as equally as females do either.
Right, whatever it is.
So you might have nothing. You might be living in your car.
Okay, welfare, minimum wage, whatever it is. If I'm able-bodied and able-minded, I'm gonna have a job because they got jobs everywhere. They got Dairy Queen's always hiring, whatever, right? And that was the way I was raised. And I think that the Black man kind of has to take a look in the mirror and kind of, we have to appreciate the support that Black women give us. But I think that as Black men and Black women, I go through this sometimes even with my future wife. It's like I just tell her there's certain areas where I must be there for you. I must be there, at least maybe not quite on an equal level every time. Maybe sometimes if I'm tired, I'll let you carry me. I'm glad I have a woman strong enough to do that. She's a strong Black woman, was raised in a strong household, all these other things. It's generational. But my thing is like, the only way I'm going to let you carry the load is if I absolutely positively cannot find any way whatsoever to do my part, right? I'm talking about legs broke, brain busted wide open, can't get a job, sick in the hospital.
It don't even have to be that. Let me give you, it does not even have to be that.
Let me interrupt though. Let me let you get the point. But what I don't think is acceptable is when you show me that you just dropped hundreds of dollars taking a girl out because she got a big booty, and your kids, you're not spending the same amount of money on a big baby. Right? You chasing the big booty, but you care nothing about your big baby who needs food. So that's my thing. Look, again, if you can't do nothing, then show me you can't do nothing. It's almost like when Black people support white businesses more than we support Black businesses. I say, okay, fine. If you tell a Black business you can't afford the product, that's fine. But don't turn around and then go make it rain on a white business. That shows you're a hypocrite. That's trifling. What do you think? Please go ahead, Nichole. I didn't mean to jump in.
I was just going to say this because you took it to where I was going. But I was going to say this. I know that being a Black woman is a hard thing, but honestly, Black women, even though we're at the bottom of the totem pole, it seems like in a lot of things when it comes to America, I think Black men have it harder. And all you need is one bad decision, one bad thing that wipes you out, that you pay for years and years and years. And granted, man up, there's consequences to your actions. I got that. But I know guys, I know people who can't get hard because of a decision they made when they first turned 18, who can't get a job, or if they have a job, they're working 2 or 3 jobs and they're still the working poor class. So you can go to McDonald's, White Castles, wherever, get a job, get 2, get 3, don't go to sleep because all you do is work and still not be able to make it. There was an article that came out just this week that said it takes more than even a 2-income household in most states in the United States to just break even. And so you have married couples who are still together, or partners who are still together trying to raise these kids who can't do it. It just makes it harder. but you went to where I was going. Then if you're doing all of that and you're working 10 McDonald's jobs and you still can't make it, and all you can give me is $5 a week and try to spend an hour with your kid because you're working all the time trying to pay, okay, I'll give you that. What I do have a problem with is when you come to child support like my baby daddy did. We only went to court, I think, twice. The first time we went to court, he came in when they were in style, trench coat that was leather down to his feet, brand new white Jordans on, and big old diamonds in his ear. I got a problem with that. Your child support is $30 a week. Daycare alone was 65 back in those days, 24 years ago. I got a problem with that. And don't tell me you can't afford whatever. And I feel like that's what happened in R. Kelly's case. He partied all he wanted to. He made sure that other people got paid because they weren't gonna just hang around with him just for the sake of it, or the fact that he was R. Kelly. They were getting paid too. He's paying, big lawyer bills and all of that. I think you can also pay for the kids that you created.
Well, I agree with you. And Nichole, I'm gonna show you some pictures, and I want you to kind of, this is, sometimes, the life we live can leave a track record. And I want you to see these pictures. I want you to kind of think about what you just said as I show you these pictures. And by the way, if you're on Your Black World TV, you won't be able to see the pictures. So if you want to see the pictures, go to drboycetv.com. That's the other YouTube channel. I'm gonna show you these pictures, Nichole. Check these out. These are pictures of R. Kelly throughout the years. And, when you look at these pictures, you're not looking at a poor man. You're looking at a boss, a baller. You're looking at a man wearing an outfit that I would never buy because in my mind, I can't afford to dress like that.
That's probably a week's salary.
Right. I mean, I could afford to dress like that, but I can't afford to dress like that.
You'll be living in it.
Right. No. I have some money, but.
No, I'm saying the average person.
Right. The average person can't afford that. Right. The average person probably can't even afford whatever fancy liquor he's supposed to have in his glass. The cigar is probably not a regular cigar. It's probably one of those expensive cigars. That ring looks like a big diamond, I don't know, some kind of expensive ring. That watch does not look like a regular watch. I will confess, I have bought watches at Walmart because stuff like that has never been important to me. Right now, I do a little bit better now, but but I'm not going to buy no,
Thanks, Alicia.
Right, I know, right? I'm not going to buy no $1,000 watch with
right.
my kids getting their child support. That don't make no sense. Look at that suit. That is not an average suit, right? Look at some of these other pictures. This is the women, right? R. Kelly was always R. Kelly and women, R. Kelly and women. Look at how much women I have, how much women I have. And what I tell young brothers when I mentor them with Black Men United is I tell them, you think that having all these women around you is a blessing, but the more you get into situations because of all the women you chasing, the more you realize it can become a curse. Chasing all these women, bringing all these women to your bedroom, you're bringing diseases, you're bringing drama, you're bringing the potential of false accusations, which can send you to prison for life. You're also bringing child support issues later on down the line when these women get pregnant. I had a conversation with a friend that was real mad because he got a stripper pregnant. And I was like, bro, you're a professor. Why are you having sex with a stripper anyway? Like, my body matters to me. I'm not going to put my, what, in a stripper. It's just not going, it don't belong there.
Well, on a side note, as an attorney, I get
neighborhood. What you say?
I said on a side note, as an attorney, I get mad. There was a issue a while ago. Somebody accused, I think, Chris Brown of being baby daddy, and she wasn't really pregnant and all of that. If you got that much money, you need to be having some contracts around who you're with, because women can, I know of real cases where women have used the condom that was thrown away and been like, I'm gonna try to get pregnant with this one.
Well, you did see where Gloria Allred's daughter, Lisa Bloom, went to try to work for Harvey Weinstein. Did you see that, her memo?
I didn't see the memo.
Oh, she got busted big time because Gloria Allred and Lisa Bloom.
Yeah.
They got the kind of white female Al Sharpton hustle going on. And so so they'll go straight for the money. We forget calling the cops and filing charges. They're like, we want a $30 million fund and we want you to say. And so check this out. So Lisa Bloom, I'm gonna try to see if I can find the memo online so I can just read it to you, because as a lawyer, I'm sure you get a kick out of this. But Lisa Bloom, this memo was published in the New York Times. Lisa Bloom sent a memo to Harvey Weinstein, And basically Lisa Bloom, who was, becoming known as an advocate for women in, in sexual assault, sexual harassment cases, not to say these cases did not have legitimacy, but what she kind of did, unfortunately, was in the memo is she basically went to Weinstein and said, look, my fee is $900 an hour. Pay me that fee and I will help you tear these women down, because I know that a bunch of them are full of it. And I know that if you keep on asking the right questions, you'll eventually break them down and blah, 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 blah. And I know how to discredit them. I know how to do this and do that and do that. Right. So she basically was like, I'll come play for the other team if you pay me well. Right. And so that was really interesting in terms of not so much saying that all these cases are illegitimate, but to say that it really is kind of a game in a way, where they're not always necessarily vetting all the cases to make sure there's legitimacy. It's like, can I get paid? So if I can go accuse a powerful man of doing something bad, then a lot of times he'll write a check just to make me go away. Can you kind of speak to that as a lawyer? Because you know the game better than most people do. As a legal expert, what do you see when I tell you about this?
You know what? But that's the truth. And I think that was one of the reasons why I was so good at father's rights. One, I'm a daddy's girl. I'm the oldest of 8. There's 6 girls, 2 boys. My parents wanted a big family. 1 and 7 ended up with 8. And so we're all Charlie's Angels. But so I understood that there needed to be both parents needed to have a part in their kids' lives. But I was also a baby mama. I was a mother at 15, 2 days after my 16th birthday, I had my son. So when I went into court, I would have women come hire me so that I wouldn't work for the baby daddy. And I would have women who were the girlfriend or the mom or the sister of the father that would come and be like, I need you to represent him because I know you're good. I know that you can think like a baby mama. And so you can discredit them, or you can not necessarily discredit, but you know that answers the questions to ask and kind of what they're thinking. I know the theory of their case because I lived it. And so I can't hate on her for that. I cannot hate on her for that. She was trying to make her money, but she also showed that it's not the principle. This is strictly business. Line my pockets the right way, strictly business.
Wow.
And honestly, when you go to court, most people, and I know I did before I went to law school, thought that justice always prevails and you just got to go in and tell the truth. And, that's not real. That's not reality. It's not reality. I told the law class I taught tonight that I told my students that it's really about who makes the better argument. And in order to be the best litigator or the person that makes the best argument, you have to come in off top discrediting the other side or being able to have a counter or a rebuttal to what they're going to say before they ever say it. You shut them down.
Interesting. Wow. And by the way, the legal program she teaches in, the URL is theblacklegalprogram.com, THE, that's theblacklegalprogram.com. So actually, if you want to learn from Nichole directly, ask her questions.
And actually, I'll say this. Here's my shameful plug for the Black Business School. Next week on Wednesday, we're talking about child support. We're talking about the deadbeats, the baby mamas, the baby daddies. And I don't even think you knew that, but that is the subject for upcoming. And we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff like child support when I had a case where guy had sex with a girl. I think she was a stripper, one night stand. She gets pregnant, comes to him, tells him he pays her for the abortion. They sign a contract and agree that she's going to have one. She used the money for something else, had the baby anyway. He paying child support. We're going to talk about stuff like that and why that might be fair and why it's not, what happens when, right.
Well,
what happens in situations like that?
Well, I'll tell you that, one thing I learned about the child support system was that I did not want to be in it. I don't talk about it much, but the reason I decided not to have any more biological children was because I decided not to get married until now. I'm going to marry Alicia, but we're past the point of having kids. She has children. And that one experience of paying all that money and not really feeling like I was getting something for that, in the sense of, it's hard to pay a lot of money when you can't control where the money's going. It's no disrespect to anybody, but it was really hard. And but I knew what I was supposed to do. I didn't want to go to jail. And also, I feel a man's supposed to take care of the child. And I would just suggest to young black men and those who care about them, you got to talk to them about this stuff. Like all these, because what happens is when these guys are young and they fly and all this other stuff, and all these women are coming after them, men are just trained to think that if a pretty girl offers you something, you're supposed to take it. They're trained to think that if all the girls want to be with you, that that's a good thing. I'm gonna tell you, you know, like as my life went on, and I mean, again, I guess I was okay as a young man. I had a few women that would come after me, but it got even bigger and worse as time went on, as I made more money and I had a PhD and I became kind of famous. Then suddenly the women are hanging around everywhere, all the time, no matter what. But by that time, I had just learned, like, you got to be real careful in this game. Like a black man, if a black man wants to go down, there are four areas where black men typically go down. It's things related to sex, drugs, alcohol, or gambling. Sex, drugs, alcohol, or gambling. As a black man, you got to be real careful in those four key areas and know how to control yourself, or you end up looking crazy like Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton with sex, right? His whole sexual history is kind of shaky, right? And he might, and I wouldn't be surprised if one day the Me Too movement gets Bill Clinton too, because he's just sitting there quiet, but he's sort of nervous. I think that people are eventually going to put the spotlight on him and his past indiscretions. Now, let me read some of this to you real quick. I told you about that Lisa Bloom memo to Harvey Weinstein. Lisa Bloom is this advocate for women. She's, her and her mother Gloria Allred love to sue men when they're accused of things, and so they can get their payoff. But listen to this. Here's some of what she wrote in the memo to Harvey Weinstein. She said that counter operations online, you can run a counter ops campaign to push back and call her out as a pathological liar. A few well-placed articles will go a long way if things blow up for us down the line. We can place an article on her becoming increasingly unglued so that when someone Googles her, this is what pops up and she is discredited. We have all the facts based on publicly available information. Second thing she said is threaten to use the system against your accuser, threaten to send a cease and desist letter, warn them of the violation, etc. And then also she said there will always be women willing to be complicit. I feel equipped to help you help you against the Roses of the world. Roses, I guess, is one of the actresses that was accusing him of the world, because I have represented so many of them. They start out as impressive, bold women, but the more one presses for evidence, now that's interesting, right? The more one presses for evidence, which is something people have forgotten about, evidence, the weaknesses and the lies are revealed. She doesn't seem to have much going on these days except her rapidly escalating identity as a feminist warrior, which seems to be entirely based on her online rants. So Nichole, as a lady, that next comment out for you to kind of take it whatever direction you want. The words that stood out here to me was word evidence, number one. The fact that we now have people just going down with no evidence, which really bothers me. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I always thought evidence was required before you send people to prison and ruin their reputation, but maybe not. And then
you're
also,
a black man and you still believe that?
Right, exactly. I know. What's wrong with me to think that we actually have to have evidence before we send somebody to prison? And then also she mentioned weaknesses and lies, as well as the fact that she's talking about, basically pointing out the fact that this woman is struggling for money, which is interesting because that made me think about Antonio Brown, and people beat him up for this. He's a crazy man. I can't defend this guy too much. But one thing he did do was he said, it sounds like she's broke. Let's look into her. Let's look into her past and see if she's struggling financially, and that's why she's coming after me. So I think, but they sort of angled it as he's abusing her. He's attacking the victim, right? But it's a reality to say that if you have somebody that's struggling for money and they know they can just make up a lie and get a check for $10 million, I don't know a lot of people who wouldn't be tempted to tell one little lie for $10 million or whatever it is. All right, so can you kind of speak to some of that based on what I just read to you?
Again, that's loaded. So evidence, again, my views on things were a lot different before I went to law school. And now you look at the stories of all the exonerees and, things like that. So yeah, you can go forward and you can be convicted without adequate evidence or real evidence. However, you think about it and I look at this from both, being a defense attorney as well as being a relative of sexual assault victims, there's not going to be a lot of evidence anyway. Just playing devil's advocate, playing the other side. If it's you and the person in the room, then unless there's a video, a recording, a sex tape, something like that, it's you and the other person. And here we are years and years later, but some people are so hurt, so ashamed that they're not going to get rape kits, or they don't know that they can even, do anything. But if he's fondling her, or, fondling himself in front of her, and that kind of thing, what evidence is there going to be? And so that makes it harder. There are a lot of women who have been raped, have been victims of assaults like this, and harassment, and bullied into situations, especially in the work situation, that don't come forward because they're like, how am I going to prove it? It's my word against his. So when they start breaking them down, now I don't know if the lady crazy or not. The lady may actually, be lying. There may be a lot of weaknesses, but when you get to court, an attorney's job is to poke holes in reasonable doubt. That's all it is, poking holes in somebody's story so that other people say, well, it might have happened, but there's also this plausible explanation, or this one, or that one. All you need is a little bit in reasonable doubt. And I always tell people, reasonable doubt is, are you 99% out of 100 certain that this person more than likely did it? Are you that certain? Because if there's that 1% doubt, that's reasonable doubt. I don't think it's fair to shame the victims. Yes, I think there's a way to do it. And what she's saying is how people do it. But there's a tasteful way to still do it. You can discredit the person in the court. If you're putting out stories and leaking stuff to where you're kind of taking things and misconstruing them and putting them together to make them fit what you're trying to say, I think that could be unethical. As far as struggling for money, most of America is struggling for money. Educated Black women, especially, one of the most educated groups, and one of the most educated groups, and one of the ones that are in the most debt, especially by student loan. And I doubt she's a Black woman, but I'm just saying. But we see it as attorneys, especially like when you deal with a personal injury case. Those are usually, a lot of times, personal injury, the run-of-the-mill personal injury car accident clients, or slip and fall, they're okay. But when they have that slip and fall or the accident, then they're calling the attorney. Have we got a check yet? did we settle it? Is it $1 million case yet? And so, yeah, you do some things for money. I would hope she wouldn't lie for his little bit. I would hope that she wouldn't lie for her money, because I know sexual victims who were raped, but because they got shamed, or because somebody said, oh, they're opportunists, they didn't go forward, and they're living with those demons ever since. I know people who have gotten raped, and because their boyfriend semen, or their husband semen also was there, then they're like, oh, they must be a slut. They had sex with more than one person, when in actuality they were raped after they had sex with their boyfriend or their husband. So
and I think those situations are really sad. And I think that it's one of those things where the question to me becomes, how do you correct the injustice on both parties? How do you get rid of victim shaming, but how do you also make sure the rights are protected of those who are being accused? Like, we can't just start sending everybody to prison based on an accusation just because we don't want anybody to be uncomfortable, or just because it's hard to gather evidence. Like, oh, well, because there's not a lot of evidence, we're just going to lock you up anyway, because we want to make sure that one party's rights are always protected and the other party's rights don't exist anymore. I think that the solution is one that they don't want to talk about. And that solution is, think carefully before you go into a room with somebody where there ain't no witnesses. That's period. Like, as a Black man, to me, this is a good recommendation across the board. Whether you're a man or a woman, when you walk in that room and ain't nobody around, or y'all both drunk and y'all both in private, and don't nobody know what happens beyond that door, you better make damn sure that the person that you're going behind that door with is somebody that you feel like you can trust. And if you just met them that night or 2 days ago,
It don't even have to be that. It don't even have to be that. Many of rape victims are comfortable with, are new. They just never suspected it was going to happen with that person.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. But I mean, I'm sure many men who are also men don't get raped by women, right? But men can be raped of their future, right? They can be raped of their.
Nope, you missed. Nope. You misspoke.
Well, scratch that. It can happen, but it doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen as often.
Right. Like when Cardi B was setting those men up, she wasn't setting them up so she could put something inside their body or have sex with them. She was setting them up so she could take their money, right? That's why she was drugging them and stuff. But to me, my point on that was to say that also, for men as well, when you talk about the devastation of, say, a false accusation, which has happened to many Black men, a lot of times I think those men also are like, I never thought she would do this to me. I never thought she had that issue. I never thought she would tell that lie or be that vindictive, right? And so my point at the end of the day is to say that you never really know for sure, but there's ways to take more precaution. Like there's some people who approach sexuality without any sort of concern for the seriousness of laying down with another person. They think they get into this, and white folks put that crap in our head. This whole free love thing, sleep with who you want, be whatever, you can be a male slut, female slut, do whatever you want, just get around and just, you just met them on Tuesday, they look good, you should have sex with them. Whose right is it to tell you what to do? Well, one thing that I always kind of figured out over time was, it took me time to figure that out, but I can say this is, I always knew that anytime I laid down with any woman, I was always taking a risk, even if it was a woman I've known for 5 years. And we're like, hey, let's get together. Let's take this to another level. At that point, I'm putting my life in your hands. You could go in there and make up a story. You could ruin my reputation. You could go to the cops and say some stuff happened that never happened, and I would be done. So again, I think that there's a difference between approaching things carefully and approaching things haphazardly. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's not very popular to talk about responsibility in this world because we live in a world where everybody sort of thinks life happens by accident, that you're not supposed to think about things, and that anybody who tells you to be careful is being too serious and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, but if you look on the other side of that, when you're not careful, bad things happen. So anyway, I'm done talking.
I was gonna say, you were talking about victim shaming and how to fix the system. Some of it is you have to be smart and protect yourself, but that's not a likely solution. And in our system, in our Constitution, in our laws, they are to protect citizens, supposedly, we say, innocent until proven guilty. We know that it's not always applied like that. However, that is the standard. It's supposed to be. And when you go to court, you have an opportunity, if it's a criminal case, to face your accuser, to ask them questions, to cross-examine them, to put your own evidence on and try to discredit their evidence and their testimony. So in some senses, the defendant or the accused has the right to discredit or call the other person a liar or point out their faults, because that may be all they can do. I will say this. Many people think that if you were charged with it, and like I said, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But if you get charged with 3 burglaries or you get charged with 10 rapes, then automatically people think, oh, he was charged with 10 women or 10 counts. He must have done it. But anybody can go down to the prosecutor's office, the DA's office, the county attorney's office, the federal prosecutor's office, and try to take out criminal charges on you. And there are a lot of places, not just, little town, nowhere city, United States, but there are places that with little to no evidence will press charges. And it just so happens that many of those are sexual assault type cases, because a lot of times there's not, unless they beat you up, tore some stuff in what they were doing, there's a lot of times there are, sexual assaults and there's not a lot of evidence. But even outside of that, I could be mad at you today, Boyce, and be like, I did not like the color of his watch. I'm gonna go down to the courthouse and I'm gonna say that, he owes me blah 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 dollars and he didn't pay me. you know, and then you have a criminal, you know, or he not owes me, that's civil, but we'll say, you know, he took it out of my purse when I set it down at the All Black National Convention, you know?
Wow. Wow. Okay. So are y'all hearing it? This is
The other part is now that's the solution, not just the person not going into these situations, but us as the public being able to put our thinking caps on. Because y'all know, come on, Black people, we see the scary movies and we be like, don't, what you going in there for? And you know, and I've seen it in real life situations. You be like, ooh, you know what? That wasn't a Black person that did it, was it? That wasn't. So we see stuff. We see, you know, put all the facts out there. Let you know, be smart about how you take in, because a lot of times the media tells you what they want to hear. And just like, you know, All Red's daughter was saying is, you know, we can fabricate what we want. If we put it in the media, it's on the internet. I Googled it. It must be true.
Mm. Well, there you go. There you have it. Okay, so Attorney Nichole Compton is a very good lawyer. As you can tell, she knows her stuff. She's serious about law. And if you want to follow up with Nichole, her website is bizlawlife.com, B-I-Z, bizlawlife.com. And as you guys know, these are conversations that don't happen very much on the internet, because we actually are looking for the truth. We're looking to find out what's right as opposed to figuring out who's right. And so we're not having a nasty debate. This is where we're all learning from each other. So I want to say thank you guys for hanging out with us at drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. If you guys could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button before you go. Hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. And I hope you guys learned something. Please give Attorney Compton a digital round of applause. Please tell her thank you real quick in the chat if you could. And also, don't forget, also, if you go to bizlawlife.com, Attorney Compton has a nice offer if you want to go check it out. It is 10 must-have legal documents that you need if you are a business owner. 10 must-have legal documents that you want to have as a business owner. Actually, these documents combined would cost you about $3,000 if you got them all done by a lawyer. She's offering all of this for you right now. If you go there right now for $199, is that right? Is that the right price, Nichole?
Yes. And I know sometimes I had somebody last night ask me and say, well, your price went up. These are documents that if you had to hire an attorney to draft these for you, for your business, one document could easily be $600-700 itself. Some are more. And so you're having something that's gonna put you ahead of the game in your business. And so I'm all about trying to help you. You know, my thing is I want to see the Black community making great money, making great decisions, launching their businesses legally, and leaving a financial legacy for their family and the community. I'm part of that. I don't want you to be broke. I don't want you to be broke or lose your assets, because if you broke, you know, I got to worry about helping you out where we could all be doing well.
All right. So some of the documents here, I'm looking at the page. I see articles of organization or incorporation, bylaws and operating agreement, employee handbook, independent contractor agreements, sales contract for goods, contract for services and invoice, non-disclosure confidentiality agreements, business plans, website terms and conditions, partnership agreement, and succession plans. Succession plans are really important. If you don't have a good succession plan in place, and that means that all the hard work you put in, if you die or when you die, you're all going to die. Your business will just crumble into dust and go away. So you want to have a good succession plan in place. If you want to know what that looks like when you don't have it together, watch that show on HBO or Showtime called Succession. And it's all about an old guy who spent all these years building this massive company, and his kids are not equipped to take over the company. So ultimately, the link, I can't put the link in the chat. Is that the Aloha? The Aloha? I thought it was Ebola. I thought his name was Ebola. I was like, whoa. Anyway, I can't put the link in the chat, but I can say it out loud. Somebody type it in.
And it's actually right under my name. So if you look down on this side, Biz Law Life.
Yeah, Biz Law Life, BIZLAWLIFE, Biz Law Life, BIZLAWLIFE. So Biz Law Life.
That's not my only website, but that is where you can get me. It's all things pertaining to my three passions: business and entrepreneurship, legal stuff, and personal development and life motivation.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys for having a good night, and thank you again, Attorney Compton. I appreciate it. And she was at the All Black National Convention. Some of you mentioned that you saw her there and you saw how great of a job she did. Her session was totally full. She was amazing. Also, I'm going to bring her to one of our financial Juneteenth investment seminars, so you'll get to meet her up close. In fact, I think I'm going to come back to New York in early 2020. And when I do, I will bring Attorney Compton with me so that we can dig deeper into getting your family businesses structured and moving along and all that good stuff. So I look forward to seeing you all there and all around the country as well, to a few other cities we're going to go to. We're only going to go to maybe 4 or 5, but I'll let you guys know which ones we pick when the time is right. So take care, everybody. Have a good night. Hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. And one more time, the URL is bizlawlife.com, BIZLAWLIFE. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. All right. Thanks, Nichole. Bye-bye.
Bye.